How are you?
Hello.
Look at you, pretty and green.
Like, you can't really see me. I'm like, I look like you look all, can I just say that you're like glow every time I see you?
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
So sweet. Appreciate it. We got Deb Del Vecchio here.
Wow. Awesomeness.
Hi, Deb. She might be muted still. Looks like she's still getting situated. Yeah, Heather was going to join us, and then something happened to her blog.
I know. She's like, can I join? I'm like, you just text, get Jill, and then she wrote back, my blog. She's had such trouble with her website.
That's terrible. Hi, Carol. Carol, can you hear me?
Huh.
It's interesting. Deb, can you hear me? Deb Del Vecchio? Hi. Hey, sweetie, yeah. How are you?
Hi, Jill. Hi, Debbie.
How are you?
Deb.
Carol, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you. I don't know if I've ever seen you before.
I don't think so. I've seen you a lot on Facebook, but I don't think you want to see me.
Jill's everywhere.
Yes. To see you. Oh, that's funny. Carol's been, she's a travel planner, right? You still doing travel?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And she emailed me this week, like, can I come over to the meeting? I'm like, yes, please. Now, what do you have behind you? Are you a quilter?
I'm just looking at that. I didn't really look at this before. Yes, I quilt.
Oh,
wow. My grandma. I also do running.
You run your medals?
Yeah, so there's my medals.
Cool. Wow.
Quilts that I'm working on. So
yeah, that's beautiful.
The thread was the first thing I noticed, actually.
Yeah, the thread.
And grandma's
picture. Wow, that's so organized.
Yeah, that's not how mine would look if I was into quilting.
Well, you didn't see the floor. You only see like from above the floor. A little better.
Well, we're glad you could make it.
I am glad I could make it too. I might have to bust out a little bit early because I've got a funeral to go to, but I can be here at least until 9:45. So.
Okay, that's no problem. That's no problem. You just go if you need to go. Okay. What I'm asking people is they come go ahead and keep the chat box going. If everybody could, the way we do attendance in virtual networkers is we go into the chat box and we type our first and last name and email address. And then this is recorded, so I do send a copy of this recording to you, as well as a copy of the chat box. So in case there's somebody you want to connect with, or you want to remember who that person was, you'll have the text from the chat box on the email as well.
Do I put my email address on there, or does it automatically populate?
No, you'll have to put it in. Put your work one too.
Yeah.
Let me give everybody just a couple more minutes. I'm not sure if Laura's going to come today. Debbie's in Maryland. Carol, where do you live?
Michigan.
Michigan, and you're in Connecticut, right, Deb?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess you guys are going to have some weather.
I've got about 8 inches of beautiful snow out there right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
we're in the midst of it's like low hurricane, like winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds. There's electric. I actually texted Jill this morning. I'm like, power's out all over the place. They've canceled school. Like, it's like crazy. The snow is going sideways right now. And you may hear like gusts of wind because it rattles everything. So I said, if we lose power, I'll still soldier on. She has my presentation. I have a phone number.
We have plan B just in case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know that when you've done corporate presentations that you always have a plan B.
Yeah. I've had printouts of slides ready to go. You name it. Yeah. Hey, Connie Joe.
It's Connie Joe.
Good morning. I know Maria. I'll give everybody just one more minute and then we'll get started.
I couldn't find the link.
Oh, it's the same link every week, if that helps.
I know, but
put it in your calendar. I copy it and put it in my calendar, so I just have to get my calendars there.
That's smart. Someday I'll do that.
It's all right, Connie Joe. It's early. Have you had your coffee yet?
I'm working on it.
Everybody bring your own beverage to virtual networking.
Fine.
Everything, coffee or something, right?
Yep.
I'm boring. I
My
have water.
Yankees.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. If some people join in, we will welcome them as we go, but I want to keep to our time because it's supposed to be only 60 minutes for networking this morning. So welcome. We have 2 new faces this morning, and so I'm excited to see that. Usually we have about 6 or 7 people here. As we grow, we'll have more, but it's kind of nice to be intimate too, because we get to know each other a little better. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jill Celeste from JillCeleste.com, and I am the chapter president for Virtual Networkers, which is a part of a larger group called Keep It Local LLC. Keep It Local is a networking group based out of the Tampa Bay area, which is where I live, and they have in-person chapters all around the Tampa Bay area, and this is their first virtual foray that I'm leading up for them, so we can connect those of us who work virtually, who can serve clients no matter where they live, which I know all of us do here on this call. So for those of you who are who here for the first time are rookies, what we do is we will go around the room, so to speak. I just call on you, and you'll do your 30-second commercial, your elevator speech. And then once we're done with that, we'll move into our speaker. And today is Debbie Kevin. She'll be presenting today. And then when she is done with her presentation, she will be happy to answer questions, I'm sure. There's a Q&A period at the end. And then after that, we go around the room one more time. And you're welcome to share any announcements that you have, things that you are promoting or things that you want people to attend, whatever that looks like. That's sort of your promotional moment. And then we will finish up with Connie Jo doing an educational, motivational moment to keep us motivated into the week. And then we'll close up shop. So it'll go really quickly. Just a reminder, if you haven't done so already, please go into the chat box and put your first, last name and your email address so we know you're here. And we will go ahead and get started with our elevator speeches. And we have a dog. Who's got the dog? Did I hear a
I
dog?
have a dog, but it's quiet. So
Okay.
my dog this time.
Maybe the wind you're hearing.
Oh, they sound like a little yip.
Oh.
Because I get excited with dogs, y'all know me. So I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and get started with the 30-second commercials. And I'm just going to start on my screen. I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to start with Connie Jo.
No.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not a morning person, so
You're doing great.
well, yeah, right. I'm Connie Jo Miller, and my company is Enigma Bookkeeping Solutions, and I do virtual bookkeeping. I make sure you have impeccable books, so you're audit ready and tax ready. And then I go the next step and I do financial coaching. So I go over your books with you and make sure you understand what all your financial statements say, what they mean. And I help you if you need it to make any financial decisions about your business, and so that your decisions are data-based instead of what if I try this or what if I try that. Really look at the data to make some informed decisions.
That's amazing. And tell us where you live.
That's me.
And you're based where? Oh,
Connie Jo, where do you live?
I think her internet took a poo.
Took a turn. She lives outside of Atlanta.
Okay, my internet connection's really bad, so everything just froze up. So I don't know what anybody said. Sorry.
That's all right. It happens. It's virtual. We were just curious to know where you live, but Debbie said Atlanta.
Outside Atlanta.
Yeah. There you go. So we've got
No,
Georgia.
now everything's gone. Where did everything go? Okay, here I am.
It's Technology Challenge Friday.
Is it a full moon? It's Mercury retrograde? It's all.
Yeah.
It's my internet. It's not happy this morning, just like me.
Just like you. It's not a morning person.
No.
All right, Carol, you're up next.
All right. I'm going to read. I don't have this all memorized yet.
All right.
So, hi, I'm Carol Bourne at bornfortravel.com. I help you navigate the maze of vacation planning so that all that is left is for you to experience the magic. Walt Disney World is the happiest place on earth. Well, possibly. With 29 different resorts, 13 different room categories, and that's just the beginning. Tickets, dining, fast passes, it can easily become a place of confusion and overwhelm. And that's where I come in, your travel concierge. I help you navigate all of those choices to find the best vacation for your family. So I'm Carol Bourne at bornfortravel.com, your travel concierge, and I help you put happy back into the happiest place on earth.
That's a great elevator speech,
It
Carol.
is excellent. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. Just have to
I
memorize
want to
it.
go. I'm ready.
No, hook us up. Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here, Carol. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad for the invite.
Yay. And how about Deb? Deb
Oh,
from Connecticut.
Deb.
Deb from Connecticut. Okay. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. I'm Deb Delvecchio Scully of the Empowered Entrepreneur, empowermentactivators.com. And we help entrepreneurs to uplevel their brains, their businesses, and their worlds through a combination of brainwave training technology, which is beyond leading edge. It's really cool stuff. And to help you be the best that you can be, really focused on entrepreneurs who have trouble getting in the zone, have trouble sustaining their focus and their productivity, which for many think that's more a problem. It's a behavior when it actually has a lot to do with how your brain is functioning. And we can help you learn how to reset that to be the best version of you.
That is awesome. Next time you come, you have to come with your
Put the headset on? Sure. Okay.
for bio neurofeedback.
Yeah. It's pretty cool stuff.
It is
very
cool.
cool.
We're glad you're here. And say hi to Amy for us. Amy is her business partner.
I will.
And
I
she's
will.
welcome to come too if she's so inclined at 8 a.m.
Yeah, it's not a great time for her. She has little ones and getting them off to school. So we divide and conquer.
That's a good thing. Good thing. But we're glad you're here. All right, Debbie Keevan.
So I'm Deborah Keevan of DeborahKeevan.com, also known as Debbie with a Y. Why? Because I like it.
Disney reference.
It was a link to Mickey Mouse and the Mickey Mouse Club. I really work with visionary entrepreneurs who are out to make an impact in the world. And it can be a small impact, can be a great impact, but I really help them get really clear about their message in terms of their copy. So website copy, any communications, email, and ultimately, I help them even write their own books. So if it's about words, I'm there. And I work with a lot of really cool people. I'm really fortunate.
That's because you're a cool person.
Yeah, I'm a cool person.
Well, we're glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll do an elevator speech too. Why not? I'm Jill Celeste from JillCeleste.com, and I teach purpose-driven entrepreneurs. You probably all know this. Say it with me. No, I'm just kidding. All they need to know about marketing so they can become the
directors out there.
of their business. And I'm based near Tampa, Florida, and it's hot, so I'm sorry to everybody north of me. I'm excited to be here facilitating this today, and I hope they have a great time and hope everybody comes back because I'd love to see everybody again. So that's all we did. Elevator speech is pretty good, right? That was pretty painless. So now we're going to go into the speaker portion of our presentation. So first, let me introduce our speaker. Now, she just did her elevator speech, but if I have the official bio, and it's on the second monitor, so I'm going to give you my chin profile real quick. So Deborah Keevan, and it's pronounced, it looks like Kevin, but it's Keevan. Okay, so let me say that again because she has a possessive, sorry. Deborah Keevan's father's military career had her family moving so often that she attended 13 schools in 12 years. While it was difficult growing up as the perpetual new girl, she was grateful for the mad skills she learned. Flexibility, adaptability, long word for the morning, and the ability to listen. Debbie works with visionary entrepreneurs who are out to make an impact on our world and their communities. She helps them create a career strategy, write client-attractive web and marketing copy, and publish her books. Debbie lives with her family outside Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, where they can be found hiking, kayaking, reading, and writing. That's when they're not out discovering the world. They are avid travelers. Debbie's personal goal is to walk the entire Camino de Santiago de Compostela. Did I say that right?
You did. Very good.
Right. In 2017, she hiked nearly 80 Camino miles and is scheduled 3 weeks in 2018 to continue her work. That's awesome.
Now you know everything. We're done.
Never done. We're done. So you should be able to just
take control.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Your screen.
Here we go. Okay, so as you now know for the third time, I'm Deborah Keevan of deborahkeevan.com, and I won't give you my elevator speech again, but I wanted to just talk to you this morning about the notion about vulnerability and the fact that it makes us more real. And I've got some really interesting insights, maybe unique, maybe not, but we'll see. So when I started my business in 2012, it really was by accident. I had been out of the workforce where I had been an executive in a Fortune 500 company for about 2 years. I chose to stay home to help support my son who had been diagnosed with autism. And during that time, I started to volunteer more and more. And I was doing things in a way that people were like, hey, let's give you credit. And I felt so uncomfortable with myself, and I didn't want credit, and I didn't want the spotlight shined on me, that I created a company name, and it was Ripcord Communications. Fast forward to 2014, in 2015, I was leaving a situation where I needed to actually decide to go back into the workforce or make a go of my business. And so I decided to take the less conventional route and start my business. But again, I didn't really know what I was focused on. I could do so many different things and do them well that it took me time to really focus. And I'm sharing this because I was so uncomfortable using my own name that I kept morphing my company and changing its name. Last year, I finally decided enough with this, and I claimed myself and claimed my name and became Deborah Keevan. But it took time, and so I'm going to walk you through what that journey was like for me and how it changed my business and changed me. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book, The Velveteen Rabbit. I actually didn't read it as a kid. I read it, I found it when I was in my 20s. And whenever I think of being real, that's really the first thing that comes to me is that definition. And the thing that I loved about the book was the skin horse, who's a character who's all worn and rubbed raw from being loved by a kid, is telling this new rabbit who's brand new that once you become real, your skin's loved off, but it takes a long time to become real. And so that sort of gave me permission to explore for myself what being real actually means. So Psychology Today actually says that being real is looking inside oneself and really owning what we're experiencing and then speaking to that. So a great way to know if you're really connected to your realness or you're being vulnerable is to listen to your own language. How often do you speak from an I place versus a you place? So again, there are two parts to this definition, and according to Psychology Today, is that you really have to have two very specific actions. One is that you're being mindful. You're really very connected to who you are and what your values are, what's important to you, and then staying in that in the moment, even when it's difficult, and then being kind. And I would say more being kind to yourself than being kind to others, because I think when I think back to my own evolution, I was always kind to others, but I was very infrequently kind to myself. So I actually became an expert at hiding. I had a very traumatic childhood that my survival required me to be hidden. And so I would do really great work. I used to, when I was in corporate, I used to call myself the stealth bomber. If anyone had a problem, they would come to me and we would solve it. We would solve it really quickly. But I didn't want credit for it. And so I flew beneath the radar. That was my thing. I'm doing really important work. I actually turned down many promotion opportunities because I just didn't want to step into leadership. When you think about the opportunities, I just wasn't ready. I wasn't emotionally ready, and I wasn't willing to be seen. So again, in 2014, I came to a point in my life where I was literally behind 3 sets of locked doors, sitting crammed in the corner of my bathroom with the door locked again, on the phone to 911 as my then husband, was raging. And I was terrified, and I thought, oh my gosh, how did I get to this place where I'm so disconnected and I'm sitting here in fear? So it was at that moment was very critical, because I decided that I couldn't live that way anymore, and I left that marriage. It's a long evolution, of course. But at the beginning of that healing journey, I worked with a mentor who asked me to go out and ask, 5 or 10 people who knew me in a variety of different ways, whether it was volunteer work or in my corporate career or friends, to ask them to describe me. And one of the questions one of the answers was consistent across. I overachieved. I was supposed to ask 5. I asked 10 people. But the common theme, regardless of how they knew me, was this notion that while they really liked me and they really enjoyed my company, they didn't have a sense of really knowing me. And that was such a pivotal moment for me. And I had to just stop and say, what am I doing here? And I actually realized with their, because they were so brave and courageous to say those words to me, that nobody really knew me, including me. Like, I'd really pretzeled myself into becoming what other people wanted. And there were like these layers. And I realized that, it felt like I was carrying a 2-ton weight. I always had a mask on, and I was desperately afraid that someone would see behind it and see the real me and then not like me. So I was really disconnected from myself and my body, my mindset and my desires, and even, like, I would say I was disconnected from my soul. And I actually realized when I was creating this presentation that I was operating at that point in my life from a victim, energetically from a place of victimhood. Everything was happening to me, and I was affected that way. And the energy that I used to have to put out to show up and be present and keep calm and keep that face was incredibly, it was exhausting. In fact, I started working about 6 years ago with an acupuncturist, and she was like, I've never experienced someone's pulses being non-existent. Like, there was no Shen in my eyes. I was really in a tough space emotionally. And the thing was, here I am starting a business, like really starting it, and I didn't really feel connected to myself. So guess what happened? There was all kinds of chaos. I was attracting people. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Should I do, problem solving? I was professionally trained in that. Should I do change management? I was professionally trained in that. But I kept coming back to what I loved, and it was words. And is really connecting other people to themselves, which is ironic because as I was connecting more to myself, that synergy really gave me permission to do what I was doing for other people. So I guess I was attracting all kinds of people. Yeah, I had clients, but they weren't people who really respected me or valued my input. And I didn't have confidence enough to say, I believe this is true, and I am operating from a place of love for you, because they couldn't see it because I didn't see it. I didn't see my own value. I didn't really value my own skills and feel really confident about them. So things weren't going so great. I'm a single parent. I'm responsible for 2 college educations, and I needed to make a success of this, or I needed to stop. And man, I really was failing. And I realized, again, this pivotal moment, I had to actually work on healing myself so that I could really attract people who wanted to work with me. So how did I do that? Oh my gosh, when I actually went through and I have a bookshelf in my office. It's full. There's books on the top. There's books on the floor. I read every one of those books. I worked with mentors, many. I have 2 here, but there were many. And they came as I needed them, right? It wasn't all at once. I actually worked with a domestic violence center to take art therapy, which just unlocked all kinds of creativity. I did all of the things here. And where I am today compared to where I am 2 years ago, people who met me 2 years ago don't recognize me today. And I'm so very thankful for that. So I very slowly was like peeling back. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the movie Shrek, but there's a line in the movie Shrek where Shrek is talking to Donkey and he's saying, ogres are like onions. They're full of layers. And so that's sort of what I felt like. I felt like I was peeling back all these layers to find me. And, I'm a really spunky, quirky, oddball risk taker. And I would never have said 2 years ago or 3 years ago that I was a risk taker, but I learned through working with mentors that I am indeed a risk taker. And I'm not talking about the kind that, slaloms down a mountain, hitting the moguls. That's just not me. But I take risks in trying new things. And I think that's actually part of my vulnerability and courage. But here's what was, I think, the most important part is I didn't do it alone. I worked with mentors. I mentioned that before, but there was this community, this community of mostly women who created this space for me to thrive. And I could be completely 100% vulnerable with me. And the thing was, the more I became vulnerable and real, the better my experience, the better I served my clients. It was all these things. And their love for me allowed me to look in the mirror and see the love within myself. They created honestly, I was willing to try different things and really stretch my boundaries because they created this, if you think about walking a tightrope, there's a safety net beneath it. And I knew that they would catch me. I could pick up the phone at any given moment and call any number of a dozen women, and they would answer my call, they would listen with empathy, and they would support me. And that was the biggest difference of all in this journey for me and allowing me to become vulnerable. And the thing was, I love this. I learned this about this art in Japan, where they take broken pottery and they put it back together with gold. And if you look, this image is just so beautiful. It's imperfect, but in its imperfection, it's actually more beautiful than it was originally. And what a great analogy for becoming ourselves and for being vulnerable. I found that the more I stepped into being vulnerable, the happier I felt, the lighter I felt, the more joyful, like joy entered my life. It wasn't this sense of happiness, which is fleeting. It's just an underlying sense of joy, which I can't even begin to describe. So what happened to my business? That's really what we want to know is actually what happened was I started to get the people I was most intended to work with. I became very clear and they became attracted to me. People would refer people to me and we were aligned. There's not one person that I'm working with today that I don't absolutely feel connected with their business and their mission in the world. And that is such a gift. I also started to ask for testimonials. Like the old me was like, oh, they don't want to tell me what they did for me. And the testimonials I get, I actually, to help me when things are tough, I keep them very handy so I can read them. And they remind me of what I'm doing and how it matters. It really, I came into my brand. My brand is me. And I really understood what that meant and its value. And I'm going to be completely vulnerable. I put here, I began to charge what I'm worth. I'll say that's still an evolution, right? I know what my goal is, and I'm working toward it. I'm taking baby steps so that, in the beginning, I pretty much gave my services away. Last year, I increased my rates, and I'm moving in the right direction. So I think that it's important to know that it doesn't happen all at once. It's really an evolution. And I'm still evolving, right? Visibility is a big deal. And I've found that the more visible I am, the more people are finding me and the more they're connecting. I got a text message last night from someone I've never met in person who said, I've been following you and the way you show up really resonates with me. What an awesome thing to hear. So it's sort of reinventing that the more I show up and the more I'm just me, the more people are attracted. And, I'm standing from a place of healing. And so I think I also hold space for people who are in some part of that journey. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we all choose our businesses for different reasons. But I'm able to hold that space because I've been there. And I trust now everything's going to be okay because I will it. And it is. And this is how, this I love with, again, the Velveteen Rabbit. Once you're real, you can never go back to being unreal. So it's worth the journey, completely worth the journey. So what can you do? I say spend time alone, really thinking about who you are, what you want, really journal. For me, getting out in nature allows me to think and open my mind and pay attention to my body. And I know Deb Del Vecchio talks about, the way that you move connects to your brain. So it enables you to do that. So we're going from our brains even to our hearts. Working with a mentor, and then find your own tribe. Maybe that's this tribe. Read, ask for help, and trust that it's going to be okay. Celebrate every little milestone. And that's what I wish for you. And I just add here at the end some of the books that I read if you're interested. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Questions?
Awesome. What questions do we have for Debbie? I actually have one. I'll go ahead and kick it off. Sometimes it's hard to get the prime the pump. So one of the things that really resonated with me about your presentation is when you mentioned that when you became real with yourself and you started to show that vulnerability and realness out there in the world, you started attracting more people. Can you talk a little bit more about how, from a because I'm a marketing person, how from a marketing perspective you were vulnerable and what that result was?
Well, I think there are a couple of different things. The first thing that comes to mind is going on video, sharing myself via video, because people can, and imperfect, right? Sometimes I'm out on the trail. Sometimes I have no makeup on. And oh my gosh, the thought of doing something where people can see it with no makeup. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm comfortable without makeup, but out in the world, I'm not so sure.
Right.
And so just giving myself permission to do that. And honestly, Jill, I think, you gave us a challenge. I work with Jill from a marketing perspective. She gave a challenge for us to do a video a day in January. And that really helped me even more step into that. And then using language that's my language. I make up words. I'm quirky. I have a really dry British sense of humor. And the more I just show up as me, the people that I love to work with are showing back up and mirroring that.
Yeah. I find that too in my marketing. The more vulnerable I am, the more attractive I am to my ideal clients. And even with my weight loss journey, as many of you know, I've released some weight, and just talking about that journey has nothing to do with marketing, but it really shows the human side of my life and what's going on, and it attracts people to you. So I'm definitely a product of that line of thought as well. So thank you for sharing that. Any other questions for Debbie? No?
I have just a comment.
Go ahead.
You made me cry.
Yeah, I know I got a little teary too.
Oh.
What made you cry?
Yeah.
I've known Debbie, I think since 1992. So we go very far back. And I felt like I knew you, but now I'm realizing how much I didn't know you. But Debbie and I connected over 25 years ago. We're very similar, and we've actually had very similar journeys. And I think part of it was I felt sad that I didn't really know you as much as I thought I did, and then realizing how much I don't know myself, how much I haven't, I don't know, revealed, or I haven't gone through this last part of your journey. And I now I'm saying I really I got some work to do.
Wow.
And it made me cry. I'm still tearing.
This is networking meeting where you cry. And laugh.
You're welcome.
Networkers.
One thing that you said is something that I've noticed is that I've seen people on TV talking about these really personal things that have happened to them, but they don't say when I saw this, they say when they use the word you.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that, but they're talking about something about themselves, but they say you. When you go through this, or when you see this, and I find that really interesting.
I think it comes from a place of fear, right? If they say I, it becomes very personal very quickly. And I mean, I've noticed that I've done that myself, especially when things were really difficult. So it's a great observation.
Yeah. You know, as I look at the people who are here today, so for example, for Carol, who's a travel planner who plans Disney vacations, happy place. And in my head, I was thinking, well, how could Carol, for example, use vulnerability and realness in her marketing as someone who's planning things of joy for her vacation? And Carol, I was thinking, you must go to Disney. You must go. Do you share the excitement and the joy you experience as a guest?
Absolutely. And a lot of it is when I post when I'm there. I have something called Where in the World Wednesday for my group that I show pictures of places I have been. And oftentimes it's when my children are very little. So I go through it, it just happens to be I collect pictures. So I'll go through and have people guess where they were, and my kids will be little, and I'll talk about what was a great experience. But I also talk about, things that were tough, and, this was really challenging, and here's what I did to fix it. When I go on a cruise, I have a lot of, tips that I'll give people to make it more exciting and personable for them. It's more than just, let me take your credit card.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, Carol, I think, and maybe you've experienced this, but, where you have this vacation plan, and in your mind, it's one thing, it's some glorious sort of experience that you're going to have. And then there's the meltdown, there's the DEFCON 3 experience, and the super long line, and the super hot, and everybody's cranky. And I think even sharing those stories, because we can all relate to that. Right. Everybody here is like, oh yeah.
I've been to Disney with a cranky toddler. Oh, yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah,
by myself, right, Connie?
Yeah, we went to Disney together.
We
and
did.
I still remember one of my favorite memories of Disney is when we got those Mickey ice cream things. And Jack was really little, and he wanted his own.
Yeah.
And he had a fit because he didn't have his own. And this Disney employee came up and gave him his own.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
See, that's a great
I'll never
story.
forget that.
Yeah.
Great story.
I
Yeah.
was trying to calm him down, and he was
Oh, it was,
over
we
there.
were in Animal Kingdom. We were in Animal Kingdom.
Is that where it was? But I'll never forget that Disney employee came over and gave him his own, what are they called? Mickey Pop?
Mickey
Mickey
bars.
popped. Yeah.
Mickey bars. Mickey bars.
bars.
Gave him his own Mickey bar. And everything was fine.
That's
Jack has always known what he wants.
Yeah. He wanted his own. I don't want one bit off of.
but that's such a great Disney story, because that you think Disney, happiest place on earth. That's their brand. That's their message. But truthfully, as Carol can probably attest, there are times when your Disney trip is full of something. Blisters on your feet, kid wanting $6 chocolate bar.
4-hour lines to go onto something that takes 20 minutes or 20 seconds to ride.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
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 But isn't that such a metaphor for life?
Yes.
All of the anticipation,
Yes.
right?
It
For
is.
an experience, whatever that experience is. And then that's what marketing is, right? We're building all that anticipation to draw people in. And it's just, so interesting. And, Debbie, so I'm a trauma therapist. I've been a licensed professional counselor for 15 years and hold diplomate status as a trauma specialist, and really shifting my business to take everything that I know about the traumatized brain to help the rest of the world kind of really be the best version of what you can be. And I do think that healing journey that you just so eloquently described is about really coming back to who we are. And I think at the core of it, something that we can all take away is, and it's beyond self-care, because so many people think about self-care as, oh, I got a pedicure today. I love a good pedicure, but that's not really doing anything for your brain, right? And it's what I like to refer to it as soulful care, right? How do we care for the soul?
Right.
What is needed in this moment for whatever we're experiencing? And how we say yes to those moments really starts to change us on a cellular level, right? The body changes, the mind changes, the heart opens, and allows us to be a better version of ourselves. So it is this, been working with authenticism for 20 plus years in my career, and I think it is the core. People don't really buy a service; they buy a person.
That's true.
And it's about that core relationship. And if I can't look into your eyes and actually see you, how am I going to connect with you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And trust you.
Right. Absolutely. So,
Because none of us are unique in our fields, right?
Right.
How many bookkeepers are out there in the world? How many Disney travel planners are out there in the world? How many marketing coaches are out there in the world?
right.
Our uniqueness is what makes us different from those who also serve in our same industry.
Right. And how we can articulate that comes back to Debbie's love of words. How you take what makes us that unique offering, that unique person, in a way that's going to make it come alive in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, good stuff, Dan.
Debbie. Power team.
yeah.
Deep thoughts on a Friday morning.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share.
Oh, it was great. It was a great by the way, I have PowerPoint Envy slides. Wow, those slides were awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Good job, bro. Well, thank you for doing that. And of course, if you have any other questions, or if somebody needs to get in touch with you, I know your email address is in the chat box, but go ahead, and if you have a process for someone who want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, I think probably email is the best. You can find me on Facebook, and I'm connected. I don't know that I'm connected with you, Carol. I might be, but I'm connected to everyone else. So
I'll check you out.
they know how to find me.
Look for Debbie Kevin. I was kidding.
That's how I know somebody really knows me.
Yes. Yes. Well, good. So we're going to go and transition now into member announcements. So this is your time to share something that you're working on, something that you need help with, an ask, even if it's referrals. We are all business owners. We love new clients. So I'll start it so you can see how it's done. Sometimes that helps for those of us who are new to the group. So my announcement is that, as many of you know, I have a membership group called the Celestial Circle. The Celestial Circle, Connie Jo's in it with me. Thank you, Connie Jo. Is a monthly membership group, and we meet twice a month virtually, once for a study hall, which is where we put our heads down together and get our marketing tasks done for 2.5 hours. We just did one yesterday. Connie Jo did it for the first time, and did you love it?
I did. I can't believe how much I got done.
Yeah, it was
great.
Down to work. We were all there together just to kind of keep each other accountable. And then we have group Q&A calls, as well as a Facebook group where you can post your questions, and also you get monthly training on some topic. And so I'll put the web address here in the chat. But what I do is I offer people to come in and try it out for $1. See if it's something that would resonate, because sometimes things don't, and you're only out $1 if that's the case. It's circletrial.com. And if you do like it, then it's only $55 a month for that. So if you know anyone who maybe needs some marketing coaching, needs affordable help, I would appreciate the referral. And again, it's just $1 at circletrial.com. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to go around the room, and if you don't have any announcements, you can say, I don't have any announcements. So, Deb Del Vecchio.
It's Del Vecchio.
Oh, darn it.
That's okay. That's all right. Most people don't get it right.
We don't even say the Scully part.
It's rare if anybody ever gets the names in the correct order. So I answer to all.
What announcement? What can we help you with?
All right. So 2 things. One is that we are simultaneously really marketing to fill a Facebook group and build our list. And I'm going to put a link to the Facebook group, and would love anybody to join us. And if anybody would like to get some productivity brain hacks, happy to send that along to you as well. And I think my question, and it's a big question, and it may be too big for this, but I'm going to put it out there. I think one of the things that we're really struggling with is finding the right medium for marketing, if that's going to be where we're going to find our ideal client. Is that Instagram? Is that going to be LinkedIn? Is that Facebook? And feeling scattered and there's so much noise in the marketplace today that I think it's making it really hard for us to get clear on that one piece. So I'm open to any advice that anyone has on that. And I would say that our ideal client is, for those of you who are bold heart people, are really someone who has successfully leveraged their business. That you are
so over 100,000.
Yeah, clearly beyond 6 figures, really with that mindset of growing far beyond that. Doesn't mean that you have to be firmly established in the business, but that that growth mindset is a big part of who you are.
Well, I think, Deb, one of the cool things about their program is that because of the way that they work with training your brain, you actually get more done in less time. So you get, when you're leveraged, you leverage your business to get more traction and work less. But they take it to that next level where you are just so focused and task driven, but in a way that is healthy and supportive.
And so Debbie has done some copywriting for us, in case you couldn't tell.
Carol, take care, sweetie. We hope we see you next week.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all too.
So Deb, I think for you, like from a social media standpoint, I'm kind of wondering if LinkedIn would be better for you.
I think that I will say that we are indecisive, and we're certainly working Facebook.
I mean, they're Facebook a group, so that's the good news.
Right, because we know the algorithms don't support anything but groups right now. And
for now.
Until that changes, and that's fine. I don't think that my business partner Amy and I feel like that's where we're really going to find our ideal clients. I don't know. And so And I think we're a little bit of a crossroads. We're making a decision about an investment in marketing and wanting to try to sort out which direction that is. Right? Where are we going to find those people?
Have you asked those people? You're in a community of them.
I mean, we can. I think, honestly, it's been a lot of Bold Heart people because that's our community.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the Bold Hearts, where they're hanging out.
Yeah.
Ask them if they know where your clients might be, if they experience.
Okay.
I know, because I'm in Bold Heart organization as a contractor, that Fabienne would tell you that people who are leveraged. So Connie, because we're speaking jargon, leverage is a track in Fabienne Fredrickson's program for people who make over $100,000 and are stretched too thin, like they have no life. So you have to leverage their company so that they have some time back in their lives. She will say, like, they don't network. They don't go to speaking gigs. They're too busy in their businesses to do any of those things. And so I think if they're already assembled in a group like Bold Heart, and there are others out there, Brendon Burchard, if you look at high dollar amount programs, Gina DeVee, not that you have to join them, but that's from like a Facebook ad standpoint, that's where I would be hitting. Some of those high ticket investment programs.
Like Russ Ruffino.
Nagel, is he expensive?
Oh, yeah.
David Nagel. So, I think that's the piece that, from a Facebook standpoint, if you can find some ads and target those people, and also think of their lifestyles, like what kind of car are they driving? What kind of purse are they carrying? What type of brands do they like? Tiffany, for example, because they can afford it. I'm making Tiffany up. Although I like Tiffany, I can't afford it. But.
Who doesn't?
Oh my God!
Classic.
Does that help?
Okay. It does. Yeah. It does.
I know. If I think of anything else, I'll definitely, I'll ping you.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you talk to somebody who's a Facebook expert, they'll tell you Facebook. If you talk to somebody who's a LinkedIn expert, it's LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
So that, it's having that real clarity on where we make this next investment.
I would pick one and do it really well. Just pick one and do it really well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's what we're feeling.
I don't know. I don't think if you pick Facebook or you pick LinkedIn, I don't think you're going to miss out as long as you do the one channel really well. And have you talked to Leanna Glenn Clark?
No, not yet. No. I think we have to make that decision. Who's going to be the voice that we really want to be our expert voice to guide this? And we're not sure about that yet.
Laura's not on the call today. Just she's a social media expert too. But
who's that?
Laura Shipman.
Oh, yeah.
The local. Yeah, she's a really nice social media expert too. I'll make an introduction, Debs, if you like.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Connie Jo, any announcements? Anything you want to share? Anything burning issues?
No announcement. I'm just looking for clients. I'm very new here, so that's my goal. And my ideal client is typically coaches, all different kinds of coaches, or creative type solopreneurs.
Okay. We certainly know enough of those.
Right.
Somebody who wants an awesome bookkeeper.
And she is awesome. I just have to say, she is awesome.
That's good to know.
She's my bookkeeper.
Yay. That's awesome. Okay.
She still has hair.
I'm going to keep it moving around.
I said, you still have hair.
Yeah.
You haven't pulled it all out.
Those are funny. Debbie Keevan, any announcements?
Well, if you're going to write a book or you have a book inside you, I'm running a free group March to complete your shitty first draft this month. And it's really because I'm writing as well. So it's really just about getting a bunch of people together. I think we have 19 of us in the group right now, just all of us writing every day, self-determined. I give some suggestions. And so if you know of anybody that would like to write a book or is writing a book and just wants to have some support and some encouragement, they can find me on in my Your Book to Fully Booked group. There's a subgroup called March to Complete.
I'm in it.
And you're like rocking it.
It's because I'm not editing as I go, which is my
That
tendency.
is the hugest part.
I
have a hard time not doing it too, but
just
get more done.
Yeah, so come join us. We are being goofy together.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to this almost done, but we have something before we go. And Connie Jo was very gracious to agree to share an educational / motivational moment. So Connie Jo, the floor is yours.
Well, my motivational moment is it centers around my daughter. She's about, 2.5 months from graduating from college, and she is going through a really hard time. She has a lot of self-doubt. She feels like others are judging her, and low self-esteem. And she's the coolest person, but she's feeling these things. And I realize it's really about fear. She's really scared to graduate and be a real person, a real adult. So I've been talking to her a lot, and I came across this quote, which I'd seen before, but it's a quote by Albert Einstein. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it is stupid. So she's judging herself, and she's saying others are judging her, but really she's judging herself.
Right.
And I think we all have that tendency, is that we are so much harder on ourselves than anyone else is. And I think it was Dr. Phil. He said that people think other people are always thinking about them, but in reality, most people don't think about other people. They think about themselves. So, get a grip. Just stop thinking about everybody else and, just focus on yourself. So, but I love that quote. Yeah. I wish I could talk to him.
Me too.
Einstein. Not Dr. Phil.
This whole quantum physics thing.
I know.
So that's my quote for today is, everybody's got their own strengths. Don't judge yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people.
That's true.
There's an accompanying quote that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes. That's so true. How many times have we compared ourselves to other people?
Yeah.
We come up short. Because we're not comparing the right things. A lot of times people are like, oh, and one of the things that Fabienne taught me this, is everything has a front and a back. We see the front, but we don't see the back. And we judge ourselves on what we see in the front, and we don't see what's going on behind the scenes. Someone might look really put together and shit's going crazy behind the scenes, right? So hand in hand with that. Connie, that was an excellent. Thank you. Good luck to your daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, she's graduating this spring.
In May. Yeah, in May. Yeah.
What's her degree?
Psychology.
Oh, very cool. What's she going to do? Does she know yet?
She wants to go into research. Her passion is LGBT issues, especially transgender, because she ended up having several friends that are transgender.
Cool.
And so that's really her passion, and she wants to do research.
All right. Well, we need good people advocating for.
Yeah, it's scary. That means like PhD probably, and that's really scary.
Yeah.
Deb is shaking her head.
It does. It does. But there's a lot of really cool hybrid programs now where you can do your master's and PhD. It's super accelerated, but you can get through it in like 3 years, which is really unheard of.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the psychology track, you can only do research unless you get licensed, which is still a PhD in psychology, but there's lots of other master's degrees in mental health that will allow you to get a licensure track without that. But it doesn't sound like she's interested in clinical.
Well, she thought she wanted to be a therapist. That was her first thing. She was going to be an LGBT therapist, but then she started realizing that she didn't think she could like leave it at the office. She internalized stuff.
She can learn, but she can learn that. That's a skill.
That's what I kept telling her, but
and there's an enormous difference between a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. You learn how to be a therapist in your master's degree program. So that's just like, what Debbie was talking about. It's an evolution of life. You learn how to do things better as you grow and mature. So, I mean, if that is her main concern, I would just encourage her to know that that's something that she can learn.
Well, once she got into research, she actually had courses where she was doing research. She really took off from there. So I don't know where she's going to end up.
Is she young, like 22 or, Yeah.
Yeah.
What we don't know at 22.
And think that we do.
I was just, it's so funny. We ask these 20-year-olds to make career decisions, and we're like, just go work at Walmart for a while. Just figure it out. Because I am not doing what I thought I would be doing at 22, that's for sure.
I'm definitely not doing what I was doing.
Maybe it told me I was going to be a business owner, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Well, we are, I think it's everything on our agenda. Yes, that's it. So did everybody have fun today? I'm sorry.
Yes, that was great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Despite the tissues.
So I'm going to send everybody a copy of this recording, as well as a copy of the chat. And there's lots of links in here, lots of email addresses. Deb put some stuff in there. I put some stuff in there, and then our email addresses. So I'll be sure to share that. You'll get that later today. And so if you have any questions about this, I'd love to have you all back next Friday morning at 8 a.m. and invite your friends. I want more people.
I know I won't be able to be here next week, but I'll be with you in spirit.
Yes, I'm unsure. I may be on the train heading into Manhattan so we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Well, that's how it goes, right? That's entrepreneurship in life. So, but if you know anybody who's a good fit, a virtual entrepreneur, please share and tell them we'd love to see them.
Definitely. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jill.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too.